Welcome back, guys. Gonna be doing a quick video on how to do your rear brakes. I just ordered in R1 Concepts rear braking pads. Rotors and pads. They're got the cross drilled slotted and they're performance pads. I had them on the front. They work really good for me. I've heard some horror stories. I've had no problems with the ones I put on. So they had a 30% off discount code. So why not? We're going to be putting those on the back. So I've also been having a really bad braking bias problem where at high speeds, and I mean like in excess of 90 miles per hour, if I hit the brakes hard, like somebody cut me off or whatnot, the car doesn't want to brake straight. It actually almost shimmies. So I'm hoping that matching the front to the back is going to alleviate some of that problems. I've been doing a lot of reading on that, and between changing the ride height, the coilovers, the suspension, rebounding characteristics, everything has a lot to do with it. So we're going to try this out, see if that helps at least a little bit so I don't have another heart attack. I'm just going to go through how I do it. You can do it your own way. This is just the way I learned to do it, and it's never failed me. So here we go. Alright guys, so I'm trying out my GoPro like head mount so I can actually like record and do things with you guys. The backs are pretty easy. You're gonna have 14 mil on your calipers and then 14 mil also on the stay for the bracket. Personally, I like to just actually take out, at least loosen up one of the bolts, get the pads out. Makes it a lot easier to actually get the whole bracket off and then take the other two and just pull everything off. So the problem with this GoPro is trying to line it up so you guys see what I'm seeing. Alright. See? That's how it works. Alright. So, one pin out. Oh, and I totally forgot. You guys learned from my mistake. Took that one out, but problem is with the back brakes, the brake line is actually stationary. It's not like the front where you have room. So I have the stainless steel lines on here, but it's a bracket right underneath your upper control arm. It goes through, sits right on top of here. So when you're actually just taking the pads out, it's actually, you got to take the bottom one out to get the pads out. So about this time last year, I ordered all 4 brake calipers from a junkyard in Arkansas. Took them apart, cleaned them out, ordered all new seals and bolts and bleeder valves, and then I also ordered the stainless steel brake lines at the same time. So I did it all in one shot. I'll be honest, ordering from Arkansas from now on. Anytime I need something, I'm ordering from there. And the other thing is, guys, the black one, you're gonna see one of these with a black, it goes on the bottom because it's technically supposed to be the adjuster, I guess they call it. Don't understand how it works. Just built up some rust, which is odd for how little this car sees the road. These built up some crap. Well, these I'm trying to get that line just sitting. I put these brakes on when I first bought the car because I had a brake issue, and these are like AutoZone special, and I'll be honest with you, they suck. It's pretty even wear, can't complain about that. Probably should have put a crap switcher on more working with this stuff. That's a quick way out. Take off the clips. Those are off. I will admit, working with the stainless steel, it does not give you as much leeway to bend these as much as the rubber do. finding a place for it to just sit down and be nice is a pain in the ass. Alright. Good news is that both the caliper through stay bolts and the bracket bolt, gotta throw this thing out of the way, there we go, are all 14 millimeter. So when I redid the calipers and everything like that, I took everything out, cleaned everything up with a wire brush. The only downfall is that if you clean it too good, you take off the actual zinc coating, and then you can actually get that thing to rust itself in. So best bet, if you're going to clean threads on a bolt that does stuff like this, always use a brass brush, because it's a lot less likely to take the actual coating off. Wanted to go loose on that last one. Lied. Sorry guys, had my kid's birthday today, so getting started this late at night. Temperature's dropping and it's pitch black outside. So when you guys are doing the brakes, as you guys seen plenty on videos, your guides here, you want to clean these up. Even though this is behind your clips that your calipers slide, or that your pads slide into, you want to clean these up, because you don't want this eventually pushing on the back side and pinching on the pads, and keep binding them up and keep them from sliding forward, you know, back and forth freely. But now we got that off, you guys will see on your back brakes, you're gonna have a little rubber plug right here. Well, it could be anywhere, but you're gonna have this. Make sure you save that and put it on the new one. That is, you can take that off without taking this assembly off. Take that bolt out, take a flathead screwdriver, and there's a little dial in it, and that's how you adjust your shoes for the e-brake, which are inside of here. Oh man, this has not been off in a while. Oh, man. Ay, 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 ay. Oh, yank this thing off the stand. These are the if you guys have aftermarket rims, you guys should know about these too. This is your wheel hub, and this is a spacer. So your aftermarket rims don't necessarily match up with your hub for the stock. So if you buy a rim aftermarket, make sure you match up your stock hub to the actual hub bore size that's in the aftermarket rim. Because if they don't match, you get one of these to match, because otherwise you're going to be putting all the weight of the wheel actually on your studs, and that's how you snap these. So this is where your wheel should be holding all the weight, or your hub. And mine is securely in place. Uh-oh, I know it won't come off, because I forgot to take the e-brake back off after I took the wheel off. Alright. These actually held up pretty good. I took these off and painted everything when I cleaned up the actual bores. So everything's holding up pretty good. Unfortunately, knowing that I was going to do the job, I forgot to pick up some brake cleaner. Luckily, everything for the most part still looks good. Probably could use a new pair of shoes. They're pretty worn. But pretty straightforward. Basically in reverse. I gotta find the rotor because the R1 concept rotors are actually directional. So you gotta make sure you put them on the right side. Looking good. All right. And look at that. First try. That was stupid. Alright. I'll delete that whole episode because that was stupid commenting. Alright. That's what it looks like. Garbola. Second. This is the doing a lot of research and finding out what people recommend and whatnot. This is the one I actually came across that had the highest reviews, and the coolest thing about it is that it's like purple. So, but that's my personal preference. This is what I use. I've had zero problems. I've actually had this work a lot better than even like the generic brake grease that you get from like AutoZone. Well, not the pin, the brackets, what the fuck you want to call them. All right. Oh, these actually fit a lot tighter. Tell you, brand new brakes smell the weirdest. Nice, they separated them. So, usually I always put the scratch pad to the inside. This one's just your warning. This one's going to tell you when your pad's getting low, because instead of rubbing like this is going to start scratching. That's when you get that loud squeak. I shouldn't say squeak, it's a really annoying sound. But because this hardware we put in is actually what holds these. And what you don't want to happen is have them get bound up, and then regardless if your caliper is engaged or not, they get stuck against the rotor. Alright, something's holding that up. There we go. Crazy where this stuff actually lasts for quite a while. They're in. Do this with my thumb. Yeah. Make sure you push the one thing I forgot with this, you can do it with your thumbs. Just push the piston back in. And personal preference. This just helps to make sure your piston doesn't want to rust seize itself against the back of your pad and get stuck. It does make a little bit more of a mess if you want to clean these up, but I'd rather make sure that pad is floating right. Alright. So, I'm just going to clean these pins off. You guys saw the color of the stuff I used, and black is definitely not it. Or brown, whatever color that was. It was mixed with black, brown, and purple. Oh. I just have to go reinvestigate what the torque specs are, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so looked up the torque specs, and I usually go by everything by the book. The pins are going to be 32 plus or minus 4, so I'm going to put these at 35. The actual caliper mounting bracket bolts are at 45 plus or minus, I'm sorry, we're 42 plus or minus 3, so I'm just going to put them at 45. Alright. Future reference, if you put the caliper back on before actually tightening or torquing down or trying to get something in here to do this, the extension piece won't really let you work. You're going to have to use a deep socket, unless you have like a magical, like really short extension piece. Only because on the bottom bolt of the caliper, you'll actually end up hitting your coil. Will coil over strut, and voila. So once again, guys, I'm trying to do this with the camera attached to my forehead, and I'm learning. I probably should put my phone somewhere where I can actually see where I'm looking at. So I have the guide pin set at 35 foot-pounds, and I have the actual caliper bracket mounting bolts back here are set at 45. The book wasn't really clear about it, and don't quote me on this. I'm pretty sure with the GT models, the GT had different rear calipers and the same front calipers as the GS. I can't remember off the top of my head which way it was. I know between the GS and the GT, two of the calipers are the same. I can't remember if it's front or back, and then, you know, obviously two were different. I don't know what was different. The manual didn't really explain it. When it came down to rear brakes, it showed the same thing for the front, but I know as far as part numbers go. So I don't know whether you can use all four GS calipers on a GT or vice versa. But if you do need to get a new one, look into that, because I know there's something was different about them. I don't know whether the piston was different or the actual whole caliper was different. But that's about it. Don't do what I did. I totally forgot to buy brake cleaner. If you're gonna take your whole brakes apart, obviously you want to get brake cleaner, especially since like I had masking tape all over these things. So I think it'll be fun to break these in now, and hopefully I don't really screw them up too bad. The other thing is don't forget to swap over this plug. This is how you actually plug up the access hole to adjust your e-brake. This keeps a lot of road dust out, even though it is dirty. If you guys are doing this yourself, get the brake clean, take your rotor off, spray your whole e-brake assembly down with brake clean, just get all the crap out of there. You'll see a ton of junk just come out. Make sure you clean off your actual rotor. You know, every other video tells you how to do the same thing. I just wanted to show you guys how easy it is on the back on these cars. Hey guys, so I finished up the rear brakes. The video is pretty much about a little over a week late. I've been really busy. As you guys know, I'm posting on Instagram. I was in the middle of trying to get the oil cooler and sandwich plate done this week, and it did not want to work out for me. So really pissed off over that. $45 to overnight a fitting, and just to have that sandwich plate leak like a sieve on me. Did make it out to the Cars and Coffee this morning, but that was after like 3 hours of sleep, and I didn't even take a picture. Didn't bring my GoPro. Didn't do nothing. It was nice to see Mike. John was there, and some really nice cars. But really wish I would have took my GoPro, or even actually took a picture if I was awake to do so. So the rear brakes are working out great. It definitely has killed off a lot of the brake bias problems I'm having. Now the problem I'm having is that if I slam on the brakes hard, now the car just wants to veer off to the right. It's not making like a full U-turn, but it's definitely pulling to the right. So a little bit more troubleshooting to go, but I'll take that over the shimmying that it did, because before, I mean, it had an episode that scared the crap out of me. But next on the chopping block is I'm going to be hooking up the oil pressure and temperature gauge. I have to buy a couple extra fittings from Finish Line Factory, get those shipped up here, get those hooked up, and then test it, because I'm still having an oiling problem. I need to figure out whether or not this engine is going to need a rebuild. So I'm going to get those gauges hooked up and figure out what's going on. If it ends up running on high on oil pressure, the only one other thing I'm going to try is going to be replacing the pressure relief valve. That may not be operating correctly, being that the car's 14 years old, and it definitely was never taken care of prior to me owning it. So I'm going to be getting those fittings in. I'm putting the order in tonight, so I probably should have them Wednesday. Hook those things up one night this week. It's going to be a real quick, easy job. Everything's on top of the motor. So I'll get that done and then get back to you guys with that. That's going to be basically the point of figuring out whether or not we're going to turbo this car, or the next set of videos is going to be me doing a full teardown and pulling the engine out. So we'll take it from there. But guys, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.